Hello friends, welcome to CSS tutorial. In this video, we will look into the type selector. So previously we talked about universal selector. Now we will proceed with the type selector. So with the type selector, one can specify one or more tag to apply the style. So universal selector, which we saw in the previous video, selected all the HTML elements. With type selector, you can specify which tag to select. When there are more tags, it can be separated by comma. Say for example here, this is the selector we have, and we select three tags, h1, comma, h2, comma, h3. So that means whatever rule which we specify here, these rules, since we specify multiple rules, so all these rules will be applied only to h1, h2, h3. So this is what called type selector. So we can directly specify the HTML element name. Here if you see what style we are applying, our rule is font family, which we already saw. Font size, this time we are specifying X large. So h1, h2, h3, all these tag will have their own size, but here we are resetting it as X large. That means all will go with the same size. So usually when you are creating this style, you will specify a separate style for h1, h2 and h3. Here for example purpose, I took all three tag and applying a uniform style. So font size is X large, font style is oblique, or we can call it as italic. Color, so this will apply a color to the selected element and we set blue color. Then text decoration, underline. So if this is the selected tag, underline is placing a line below the text. So here, since we specified h2, h3 select, since here we specified h1, h2, h3 as the selector, the type selector is applied here on the HTML. And if you see, we have body, the rules will not applied to this tag. Why? Because this is not here in the type selector. So h1 picked because that's there in the type selector, and the rule is applicable to h2 also. Next we define one more type selector. This time the type is paragraph. So here if you see, we specify the element name. So this is also a type selector. This is type selector 1. This is second type selector, and rule is font family, Courier prime code, and font size, this time we are specifying it as pixel. Previously if you see, font size we use the predefined size, and here we specify the size in terms of pixel. So 14 pixel, that's what the size we are specifying for this paragraph. And in our HTML, if you see, we have two paragraph, and this is, let's state rule 1 and this is rule 2. So rule 1 is applied for these two tags, and for the paragraph we will apply rule 2. Since we have two paragraph, both paragraph will get this rule 2. That means the Courier Prime and 14 pixel font will get applied to these two paragraphs, and heading will go with this X large font with the blue colored one. Alright, now we will go to the demo and see how things are working. Now we will close the sample from previous, and here I am choosing new file and naming this file as 002 type selector.html. So I'm hitting enter. So this is our sample HTML content. And if you see, we have two heading and two paragraph. Before applying the style sheet, we will run this once to see how it look without style. So you can see heading 1. Heading 1 is a somewhat bigger font. I mean, they are somewhat bigger in size when compared to heading 2. So that's the default HTML behavior. And when browser renders it, it renders heading 1 in a bigger font than heading 2. Then we have two paragraphs. So this is our default style. In the second tab as well, and after making the CSS change, we will just refresh only this second tab to see the difference. I'm not closing this browser, just minimizing it. So now I am adding the CSS file here. So if you see, our CSS contains two selectors. This is a type selector, and we defined 5 rules for this type selector. The next selector starts here, paragraph, and we are defining 2 style rules for this paragraph tag. Now we will save the content. And here if you see, we changed the reference to 002 type selector, whatever we added. Alright, now we will just refresh this, and you can see heading got changed. So heading 1 previous style before the style sheet, and this is the paragraph, and here you can see heading 1 and heading 2, and this is the paragraph style. And if you want to change it, you can increase the font size. This time I'm using font size as 18 pixel. Save it and refresh it. You can see the font size of these two paragraphs will get increased, right? So now we used the type selector to pick some tags selectively and apply different rule to the selected HTML elements. We selected H1 and H2 element and applied a blue colored font. Then for the paragraph, we applied different style. In the heading, you can also see a underline because of the text decoration. Alright, that's all here. Thank you for watching. Bye.